So we're doing a field demo here today, and we're going to do a little shop tour here, and we're going to be having some food, and hopefully we did get rained out, but we're going to do the best we can here. So as you can see here, this is kind of where our process starts. All our tubing and everything for our toolbars gets started right here. Everything gets cut and processed in this here part of the shop here. So we'll go on down here to our fiber laser. This here laser we put in about a year ago, and all our sheet steel gets run through this here. Parts get cut for all our row units, toolbars. We do all in-house, all our cutting in-house here. This here machine cuts anywhere from way thin material up to 1 inch. Ranging anywhere from 1,400 inches a minute to our thickest steel with 1 inch that it cuts, it's cutting at 24 inches a minute. But yeah, that's about what the capacity is of this machine. More or less all steel parts for row units and toolbars gets cut on here. Anything steel on the machine is cut on here. Like this here, there's a sheet in the machine right now, which we can go take a look at that then, but this here table just goes down, the other table rolls out, this one comes back up, and then this here one rolls in. So it just switches tables, so there's always a sheet cutting in the machine while the other one is being unloaded and being cleaned off for the next sheet. So more or less from 7 to 5, there's sheets running on this machine, full days usually. Okay. So we'll take a look, and the machine's not running right now, but it will be here after a while. So there is another sheet ready to be run. And this here is, that would be how the sheet looks when it's ready to be. From here, like this would be a job that's getting ready to be processed, row units. So it gets from the flat stock here, and all gets run through the press brake and bent, and it's getting ready to go to weld from here. Then is where it goes to. So they get their jobs ready in this here area for the welding process. Then as you can see here, this would be a job that's this just came from the press brake to here, and then it just gets staged here, and we always have jobs about a week out. So for the next week's jobs is sitting here waiting for weld. So this is, among some of the pallets here, there's probably, I think it's the Red Viper manure injectors that we build are sitting here. And there is roughly 30 row units worth of parts laying here ready for the weld process. 1 week we built strip-till units, the next week we built manure units, and we just kind of go back and forth like that there. The strip-till, we're building roughly 16 row units per week, and the manure units, we're building 30 row units per week, usually is what we do. This would be our latest machine that we put in. We put this in roughly, I think February of this year, we put in this here robot welder. And we're still getting a lot of row unit parts set up on it. But I can run it here just a little bit. There's just, it won't weld, but it will run through the process of how it works. So that's where some of our row units get welded on. Right here would be some parts that these here parts would have just got welded on there. So one process that we've seen that it saved us a lot on is, so we used to have one guy tacking all our parts. He'd tack them, he'd set them aside, and then the next guy would get them and he'd weld them. So one thing we see that saved us a lot, it saved us one guy not having to tack that part. So it cut our labor about in half on that there part of it, because we took one process out of the step. So it has saved us a lot on that there part of it. Yeah. And we have a lot more, a weld time is twice as much as what a normal guy can be standing there welding, because it moves from one spot to the next just so much faster. Yeah. So then as you can see here, this here would be This would be for a strip till bar. This is a 3-point toolbar here. This would be all tacked together and it's ready for weld now. So now next week a guy would just take it and he just welds, goes through all the spots that need to be welded and welds it together. Okay. Yeah. Because then we still do quite a bit of our row units. We still tack quite a bit of the stuff because we don't have enough jigs and stuff set up in our robot welder yet. So this is kind of how we would do that process of it. There will be several different jigs on a table and a guy just goes through and he grabs these parts off that pallet there and tacks them together and then they go to the weld. Because then, as well, here's a bunch of parts that are waiting to be welded here. They're just being tacked and welded. So. And then from there, once everything is welded, we move it straight over into our powder line. All the welded parts, they just get stacked over here. We got, there's probably 30 or 40 row units of parts sitting here waiting for powder right now. There's a finished out toolbar sitting right up front. That's one that just came out of powder yesterday. This would be for manure units, this here bar would be, but when they hang them on a rack, like there is a part, them are ready for powder right now, but when they get hung on the rack, they'll go into, which is dark, and that's just more or less a wash bay. We do an acid wash on all the parts, so any grease or anything like that gets washed off of it. So it goes from that process, and it'll go into this oven here, and that it gets dried then. So it's at 400 degrees and about a 10-minute dry period, and it dries off all the water or anything like that there. So then from there, then it goes into the step of powder. So then this here is ready to have its powder sprayed on, and it's more or less just a powder form that gets sprayed on, and once it's done, once it got everything sprayed on it, it goes back into that oven, and it'll be in the oven for about 30 minutes at 400 degrees. And when it comes out, it's a shiny black, like what? It just melts it into a paint type form. And then all the powdered parts from there, they'll come and they get stacked into racking and stuff like that. And then there's a guy here full-time sticking row units together every day, and that's all he does is sticks row units together, and they get put on racks and go outside till they're ready to be mounted onto the toolbar. So here is some strip till units going together right now. He got all his bolts and parts right here, so he puts them together. Everything from start to finish gets put on right here. Then on the toolbar side, everything gets assembled right in this here area. So they'll bring the racks in with row units in from outside. Whatever toolbar is getting built that there week, they bring it in, and then it gets mounted on. It gets mounted onto the toolbar here. So strictly just gets mounted up, and we run all the hydraulics. We do all the finishing touches in this here part of it then. Okay. So there's usually 1 to 2 guys here full time on the finishing the toolbars out part of it. So then from here it goes out the door and it's headed for its customers.